Hi, third graders. We are going to go over our words for Unit 4, Week 2, Reading Street, our vocabulary words. Your first word is the word average. Say the word average. Good. Let's spell it. A-V-E-R-A-G-E, average. Wonderful. The average body temperature is 98.6 degrees. So when you come into school in the morning and get your temperature taken, 98.6 is the average. That's what most people have. So average means, an average is the quantity found by dividing the sum of all the quantities by the number of quantities. So if I wanted to find the average of three numbers, like if I wanted to find the average of 10 plus 10 plus 10, I would have to do 10 plus 10 plus 10. And since there were three numbers there, I would divide it by 3. And I would say, okay, what's 30 divided by 3? That's 10. The average is 10. It is what is most common. It's what's most common, or what most people have, or what most of the numbers are. So most common. Denise's average bowling score is 90. That means most of the time her score is 90. The average amount of rainfall for April is 4.5 inches. The average score on the test was an 85%. That means most people got around an 85%. That was what was most common. Here's your question. Is a Great Dane, see in this picture right here, is a Great Dane an average dog size? Why or why not? So is that an average size for a dog? Are most dogs that size? Why or why not? Is it average? Use average in your answer. Pause the video. Your next word is the word depth. Say the word depth. Good. Let's spell it. D-E-P-T-H. Depth. Awesome. This part of the pool has a depth of 6 feet. You can see it right here on the brick. Depth means the distance from the top to the bottom. It means the deepness of something. So if this says 6 feet, it means if you jump in the pool right here, it will go down 6 feet deep. Here are some example sentences. The depth of the lake is about 50 feet. Usually the river has a depth of 20 feet, and no one knows the exact depth of the old mine shaft. Depth is the word. Your question is, which has a greater depth? Remember, that means the deepness. The middle of the ocean or a pool? How do you know? Use the word depth in your answer. Which one has a greater depth? Pause the video. Your next word is the word deserts. Say the word deserts. Good. Now, I know this isn't desserts because desserts is spelled close to this, but it actually has 2 S's. I always think that I want more desserts, so I know it has 2 S's in the middle, but deserts just has 1. Let's spell deserts. D-E-S-E-R-T-S. Good. Say deserts. Great. I know this word is plural because there's an S at the end. Deserts are dry, sandy regions without water or trees. So you can see in this picture, no water, no trees, very dry. This is all sand, incredibly dry. Usually hot, but doesn't have to be. Here are some example sentences. Rain is rare in deserts. Some animals can live in deserts. We've learned about those. All deserts are dry, but not all deserts are hot. There are some really cold deserts. It's pretty interesting. What makes a desert is the fact that it's really dry. Here's your question. What would you need if you were traveling across hot deserts? What would you need with you? Use the word deserts in your answer. Pause the video. Your next word is the word erupted. Say the word erupted. Good. Now go like this. Awesome. Erupted. Let's spell it. E-R-U-P-T-E-D. I see that it has an ED ending, meaning it happened in the past. Erupted. Erupted means burst out violently. It already happened. Something burst out violently, that could mean it erupted. Here are some example sentences. The volcano erupted 10 years ago. Treats erupted from the piñata after Mary broke it. And after a car hit the fire hydrant, water erupted into the air. Erupted, okay? We know erupted means to burst out violently, not like trickle out. It's like shooting out. Here's your question. Look at this little picture that's moving here. When lava comes out of a volcano that has erupted, does it come out quickly or does it come out slowly? Look at this video to help you explain your answer. Use the word erupted in your answer. Pause the video. Your next word is the word outrun. To win a race, you have to outrun the others. Say outrun. Good. Let's spell it. This is a compound word, so we're spelling out and we're spelling run. O-U-T-R-U-N. Outrun. Outrun means to run faster than someone or something else. So a cheetah can outrun a person. That means it can run faster than a person. Near the end of the race, Bob began to outrun the others, so they were running faster than the others. Stacy can outrun all the members of her track team. Wow, Stacy must be really fast. Your question is, do you think a zebra can outrun a lion? Why or why not? Use the word outrun in your answer. You'll say, I do think a zebra can outrun a lion, blah, 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 because blah, blah, blah. Or I don't think a zebra can outrun a lion because blah, blah, blah. Pause the video. Our next word is the word peak. Say the word peak. Great. The mountain has a jagged peak. Look at the very top of our picture. You can see the jagged peak. Let's spell peak. P-E-A-K. A peak is the pointed top of a mountain or a hill. So you can see I put a star up there at the very top. That is the peak of our mountain. Here are some example sentences. We climbed the peak of the hill. We rested at the peak and then climbed back down. And not many people have reached the peak of Mount Everest. That's a really tall mountain. Here's your question. You'll use peak in your answer. What do you think the weather is like at the peak of a tall mountain? Use the word peak. Pause the video. Our next word is the word tides. Say tides. Good. The ocean tides bring water in and out. Go in and out. In and out. Good. Let's spell tides. T-I-D-E-S. Tides. Tides are the rise and the fall of the ocean water about every 12 hours. That means it moves like that 2 times a day, right? Because there's 24 hours in a day. They're caused by the gravitational pull of the moon and the sun. So that's what changes the tide between high tides and low tides. It's that gravitational pull of the moon and sun. Here are some examples. High tides bring water far up onto the shore. So if it's a really high tide, the water goes up really far and there's not very much sand on the beach. But if it's low tide, there's a lot of sand and not very much water. The water's pushed way far back. It's a good idea to know the times of the tides. You'll know that in different areas, you can find a lot of seashells at different times based on the tide. And tides occur at different times in different places. So if you go to one beach in one state and you go to a different beach somewhere else, they might have different tide times for high tide and low tide. Your question is this: should you build a sandcastle during high tides or low tides? Why? So think about it. High tide is when the water's up really high and there's not very much beach. Low tide is when there's lots of sand and not very much water. Use tides in your answer. Pause the video. And our last word is the word waterfalls. Say the word waterfalls. Good. This one's a compound word too. It has water and falls. So we need to spell water and we need to spell falls. Let's spell it. W-A-T-E-R-F-A-L-L-S. Waterfalls. It's plural, meaning more than one. Waterfalls are streams of water that fall from high places. Show me your fingers and make waterfall. Good. They are tumbling waterways. That means the water is just pouring down. It's tumbling down that waterway. Tumbling waterways. The explorers could hear the roar of the waterfalls. So if they're hiking, maybe they could hear the water rushing down, tumbling down. The waterfalls were more than 100 feet high. Wow, that's pretty high. Or maybe we went swimming in a lake below the waterfalls. Your question is this: why do you think people like to look at waterfalls? Use the word waterfalls in your answer. After you've answered that, we are all done.